my allocation on day one. This is like an IPO, right? So if you remember when, Marty, do you remember when the Google IPO happened in 2000? It wasn't like a big, like watershed moment. It was those people just got in. They were well aware that Google was going to be an enormous player, but they didn't get in immediately, right? And, then it sort of crept up. In fact, the Facebook IPO is another one, right? Facebook IPO actually went down right after the IPO, right? And then it kind of went up. So I think that, this is going to be equivalent to those kind of things. I think it's going to hit, but after it hits, you can expect that there's just going to be a steady wall of money that comes into this thing. And that's why I think a lot of the crypto people are not looking at this thing properly, because what they're looking at is great, does the existing crypto money, try to trade this thing, try to front run it, try to sell the news, all this stuff. And that doesn't matter, right? Because really what's going to happen is over the next year, once people can access this ETF, and once this thing is now just one more bucket in their choices, like, do I invest in S&P? Do I invest in real estate? Okay, you can invest in QR, you can invest in equity office. Do I invest in a energy ETF? Okay, do I invest in a bond ETF? Right, those are single decision points, and with 5 or 10 ETFs, you can pretty much create any portfolio now. So I think over the next year, this thing is going to make just an enormous difference, because the amount of money that probably is going to come into this thing is, I think it could be $100 billion, it could be $200 billion in just a year. And again, $100 billion out of a total of 10 trillion in ETFs. That's just on the ETF money that's just kind of currently in the ETFs. Now, there's all kinds of other add-on money that's going to come in that's not even in the ETF stuff, but that's just now going to come in because this thing has been legitimized. So, what's the impact of $100 billion coming into Bitcoin? Well, I think we've seen what the impact of $10 billion coming into Bitcoin in 2021 is. What's the impact of $100 billion coming into Bitcoin? I think it could 10x Bitcoin. That's kind of my gut feel. So, and roughly speaking, rough math on these numbers is we kind of know that, let's say it's right now at 50,000. I'm just going to round it up to 50,000. 100 billion at 50,000 is 2 million Bitcoin, right? How are you going to get 2 million Bitcoin into an ETF when there's only 2 million Bitcoin trading on exchanges right now? Michael Saylor's not selling his Bitcoin. Block One is not selling their Bitcoin. Satoshi is not selling his Bitcoin or her Bitcoin. Draper is not selling his Bitcoin at 50,000. So this Bitcoin, you're talking this very small supply of 2 million Bitcoin, and it's sort of almost an equivalent demand right there in that first year. The math is just very clear. The price has to go up to match the demand. It's just that simple, and it has nothing to do with the prior prices, the price. Like, it doesn't matter. It's just there's that much money that's going to come into this asset, and it's just going to force the price up. So I think it's a very, very, it's an incredible bet. This ETF alone. Now,